Hey, Laura J. Here with a question today. How many times have you reinvented yourself? How many times do you imagine I've reinvented myself? I want to tell you that it'll be a whole lot more than what you actually think and give yourself credit for. And it will also be less than the moments that you are holding your hostage to because of them. I want you to know that every time something didn't go the way that you thought that it was supposed to, there was a divine plan at play instead of yours. And that if your plan had have worked, it wouldn't have been what you thought it was going to be anyway, because generally speaking, we create our own nightmares by working with the dungeon program. Entering the Castle by Carolyn Myss is evidently a significant book because it was right handy when I thought of it to reference it, and there it was. The universe works in the same way, where the solution is always near the problem. And then we have to look at how right now there is an attempted corporatocratic takeover that is taking place, where men and women are called to put on suits in the name of being something other than they are, to do what is required. And in the Nuremberg trials of the past, I was just doing my job wasn't a good enough excuse. Alas, these men and women acting in these positions are still doing exactly what they did, expecting different results. And I do believe that is called insanity, which is why neurolaw and the Mental Health Act have become a direct threat to each of us who do not conform, who see the world to be different, and who have broke through the cognitive dissonance that would make us question ourselves to say, no, actually, it is no sign of health to be well adjusted to a sick society. Krishnamurti said that, I do believe it was, or someone with a Krishna at the beginning, for that is the Christ, the highest self, that each of us can choose to have at the front of our name too. Or not even spoken, but just to have the feeling, the essence of it. That is what is going to be what empowers you, not the name at all. The name means nothing. The words together, yes, there is energy there that create a word. The letters together create words. The words together create sentences. The sentences together create paragraphs. The paragraphs together create chapters. The chapters together create a book. At the end of your life, you're going to see how each of the insanities that you have encountered have been opportunities for your soul to grow. You came here to love, to learn how to love, by experiencing the experience of love and the contrast of it too, for our contrast actually gives us clarity as to what we want instead. How do we wish to experience love in a universe where there is a diverse spectrum of experience to everything? How do I wish to be loved? How do I wish to love? And then how do I use the contrast I've experienced in order to help me gain more clarity so that I can enjoy the love that I choose more than I would have before had I not consciously created it by design instead of default? We are constantly creating either by design or default, and you get to choose whether you are going to stand in your power as a woman or a man with all common law, which is unwritten laws that can be drawn from at any time as the creator that you are. You can just say, hey, this right is being trespassed on, I believe. So I'm going to make a claim in a lawful notice to say, I believe my right to lawfully self-govern is being trespassed in this instance where a de facto corporation is trying to apply de facto law onto I, who is a woman in my private capacity, which means I'm not in the public. There is no jurisdiction that can be applied to me, the woman in my private capacity, you see. It's a mixed war. It's between jurisdictions. Haven't you heard it said between detectives? Whose jurisdiction is it? Who has the ability to apply their diction to the law in those realms? Who has claimed the territory? I claim the right to be lawfully self-governing in my right in my private capacity, with all common law rights reserved at all times. Furthermore, I claim the right to be able to draw from the common law at any time without restriction or limitation, and I believe that any man or woman that would try to limit me is the one that is causing me harm that I can see, which is then the I that I will dot on the page to say I still have my head about myself. Mine I is there on the page, and you are the one that I saw, therefore you are the one that I will put on the page to say is causing me harm, loss, participating in fraud, not keeping the peace, therefore breaking the common law tenets. Unwritten means we don't need to write it. Common sense. They're common sense laws, but common sense is rarely common practice, and we're well aware of that now, yes? All right, so let's go back. Let's go back to the fact that there are men and women who are acting on behalf of corporations, telling men and women who we can date. I don't think that's right. What do you mean, Laura? Well, what is a mandate but telling me what man I can date in a different way? Don't be late. Stay home. Don't have a life. Be in fear. All of these BS belief systems have no place inside of the realms of me that I lawfully self-govern responsibly as best as what I can. And when I see that someone is trying to trespass on rights that I believe I have a right to, I claim those rights via lawful notice. And I send those lawful notice with claims to the man or woman that I believe is causing me harm, loss, or fraud, or their superior within the corporate structure, which is another man or a woman acting in that position. And this is the thing. There is no us versus them. Government officials, that's us wearing the corporation suits. It does not make the suit itself anything other than powerful because we have given it our power, therefore we feel powerless because the corpse was empowered so that the suit was made to be something more that turned the man into something, therefore he was no longer the original and no longer had the rights that he could claim if he chose to be himself. But once he put that suit on, then he had to walk the line. He had to be careful. He had to make sure what was already defined within the lines of what he was allowed to choose to be. Whereas I say no. Let's drop those walls and just choose from the unwritten law. Let's just be real. Recognize nonfiction and fiction? Those are not opposites. Because both of them are focused on fiction, and what you focus on, you get more of. The law of non-resistance says what you resist persists. Well, if nonfiction was said to be truth, why not just call it truth? Because if we called truth, truth, instead of nonfiction, the fiction wouldn't be in truth. And then what would those who need you to believe that nonfiction is synonymous with real, how would they gain your power? How could they steal from you if you knew the truth? Well, they couldn't. Which is exactly why we're going to get you fully prepared to be able to discern the difference between when someone is trying to infer their rule onto you who knows how to claim your right to stand as a man or a woman, not be some other despite the transhumanism agenda that is designed for the creator to own the creation, and then the man or woman who decides to be other than what he or she originally was, to be a they or an it, whatever this whole trans agenda is about. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone who identifies that way, but I am saying you have been led astray, my friend. I am so sorry. My heart hurts for you to feel like your identity needs to come through the sex that you are, which actually isn't even part of the equation at all, for sex is biological and this is all gender, which is social, psychological. This is a mental war. The thought war being fought for, the real territory in it, is yours. They want your mind. That's the real estate, my friend. The energy state of you, that's the territory they need to claim on. And because only a man or a woman can make a claim and a corpse can only make a complaint orated by the delivery messenger, the representative that presents the corpse as real through it who is, that's what they're trying to do with you, to get you to lower your heel, to drop your knee, To no longer feel, to instead just think about everything. Rationalize all the lies, my friends. There's just a ration of those lies, so you gotta just choose, because scarcity is at play. It's a sales technique. Did you know? I bet you did. I bet you knew more than you thought you did. I bet you didn't know some of these things too. Because not everyone thinks the way that I have about all of these things in a way that I have because of what I've been put into and through. As I came to know who and whose I am, always was, always will be, only felt separate from when I forgot the love in all one. Feeling alone? Because the lies got to the love inside and you forgot who to trust? If you don't settle your nervous system, if you don't actually breathe yourself back into the now moment where your power is, it feels very scary. When your energy's like out here, it's like a little hummingbird. It's just, I just triggered your nervous system, maybe. Did you just, what's going on, right? Did you just get unsettled suddenly and you're like, what? I knew this was coming, I saw it. I was watching all of it, but like my nervous system responded. It reacted, it didn't respond, which is acting rationally, not rationally. It's responding is actually choosing the new action compared to reacting, which is just doing the action again in the past that was not effective maybe, or was, and then doing the same thing expecting a different result. If it didn't quite work out the way you tried before, you're going to just try to do it again just a slightly different way, but then likely get the same thing. But whatever you're okay with, right? The point is, you are so powerful that there are a lot of people that want to steal your most precious resource from you. And you don't even have any idea that's the currency that we don't see, which is part of the Nazi plan. Nazis, get it? Nazis don't see the plan. Oh my, there we go again. I'm gonna get going, but seriously, your energy is what everyone's after. Right now, you've just given me 12 minutes of your life. You don't get those minutes back. I hope it was a good investment. If it was, give it a like. That helps me get this message out to more people who need to know about this. And if you know of someone, share it with them too, because please, we need to start vibrationally supporting one another instead of trying to take their power. Take them out at the knees, then they're lowered and then I'm taller. I don't care. My man is 6.5 foot and I love it. He's so much bigger than me, but he comes down to my level too, and it's all the same horizontal. Ooh. But you really want to have someone that you really want to be vertical with, that you actually dance horizontally with too. Because if you don't even want to walk vertically with the ones that you're dancing with horizontally, your soul, oh my God, will so not be whole. How could it be if you're sharing yourself with ones you don't even want to be with? You don't even want to be around, you just do it for the sake of using them? I don't know. Vampiric culture is all around. I tuned into the energy of that when I got locked up 3 years ago too. And you know, there were a lot of other patterns that I tuned into while I was in there too. And I wouldn't have had any idea. 1313, I said it, that there was a neuro law that was being implemented within the legal system in order to make it so that sane men and women have their sanity questioned, and if they're the only ones inside of their head and no one's doing tests, because they don't do brain tests, because I experienced that, because I thought that would be a good idea when I was in there and I was going through so much, and I was like, hey, maybe I have more chemicals, maybe I have more hormones, maybe I have minerals, maybe I have vitamins, maybe there's something natural that doesn't need any extras put in, maybe like what's already going on in here, this chemical pharmacy of me, maybe is fully stocked and overloaded in some categories that need to just be like worked through, integrated, and also had space held for us. Us being all the aspects of me that were coming back into me in the moment of the apparent insanity that actually was just pointing out all of the shit that everyone else is now coming into, because it was like, oh my, what? Looking around at a higher level and suddenly you see other devils and new territory you didn't know before, opportunities, landscapes, landmarks. You see it all from a higher level. Not all, but as far as you can get up there without other buildings impeding your view. Yeah, you can see a lot more from higher level emotional states, compared to when you're at the ground floor of that same building. Same rent. Well, it's higher at the top, generally speaking, because it took a whole lot more to get there. The view's better, the air's better, the noise level's reduced. You are literally in your own world. But even when you're on the ground floor, you're still in your own world. You're just not owning it because you didn't want to be down there. You wanted to be up there. So then you focus on what everybody else is doing and what they might be doing up there. So then you forget to look after where you are. Why is the grass always greener on the other side of the fence? Well, if you're constantly looking over the fence while you're watering their garden, not yours. Yours is never going to be as good as theirs if you're watering theirs. Water yours. Water you. Self-care, the special practice, it's vital. That's why on Monday nights at 8:30, we're doing the Weaving Stronger Inner Webs series. We're strengthening your self-worth, self-esteem, self-belief, and your sense of inner security. Because if you know how to hack the nervous system, you see how the light changes? When you know how to hack your nervous system, you're connecting fully to the simulacrum that Archaics talks about, that I'm tuning into and I'm trying to catch up with. And it's just like, I know he fits into the puzzle, but I just don't quite know how it all fits together yet. But I don't need to necessarily be the one that puts it together. I just need to get all of the right ones in the room to get us together to see how we can put the best of what exists onto the table, so we can refine it down to the values and virtues. And then from that place, actually find a tradition system, a belief system, BS that's going to actually collectively support us in vibrationally self-managing, self-regulating, and self-governing. Claiming the right to, knowing how to, standing on those claims and knowing that any other man or woman making a superior claim, they have to take the stand. Why is it the stand when we have standing? Because when you're a status, you only take the stand. It's not real. None of it is. You don't need to kneel to some queen that was killing children, the part of me wants to say. And then that's allegation. Or conjecture. Conjecture, I hear. It's not true. Specifically, I don't know for sure. I was not there, so I don't know. I did never meet the woman that was acting as queen of a corporation that allegedly has rights to the land that I was born to as a native. As a woman in my private capacity with all rights reserved at all times, I was born here. Therefore, I am native to these lands. And yeah, I get that I'm not from the Bear Clan or the Wolf Clan specifically, or any of the other clans that make up the nations, that make up all of the different states of moving away from being originals in order to believe we are divided by the belief systems of our tribal lines, where the clans stop and we are said to either belong or not. It's all divisive. What is a religion? But the religioning of men and women based on BS, belief systems, that have made us believe that someone else's BS is different from ours and therefore they are worse, less, better, greater. We measure. How am I doing compared to them? How's that BS to mine? If their BS is better, then I made a bad decision. Then they need to buy my BS then, so then my BS was better. So I'm going to try to shove it down their throat and make sure they get it. Do you feel any of this with the whole freedom movement? You know, no offense, and believe me, I love being free. Freedom? A free domain? The free dominion that we need to know how to claim? That is different from being free, because it can be taken from us or given to us. Freedom? Being free, that's a state within me. No one can touch that. I fight. No, I don't fight. I advocate for that. I advocate for self-connection, self-awareness, integration into the moment, embodiment of a new energetic signature, so we can contribute in healthy and functional ways, and to see how we are all being preyed upon by the religions that we support, by the spiritual traditions that we have to do in order for things to go exactly the way the ritual says it so, or the governments or corporations that would orate their rules onto the nations of us, each of us, individually, separately. Yet, we are all connected too, for there is an internet that we commonly gain our information from called Google, right? Hey Siri, hey Google, hey Lexi, whatever the name is of the machine, the brand, the logos. The logo is the logos of the corporations orating its corpses' intentions, which is how they create stress within the system of us, which is the intention, the inner tension that makes us feel intense emotions, generally a past or future tense emotion that we didn't deal with before that shows up in the now, which is why something little can trigger such a huge eruption. We don't have any idea why. Well, we just got hit with the momentums in the moment of all of the unprocessed, unresolved issues, emotions, energies, emotions that need to move in the now, because this is all we've got. So somehow we've got to face all of that, plus now this, and what's coming. So let's start shifting. Let's start supporting ourselves through this process and to see how sometimes we think we need to get ready for the call. We need to look better. We need to do the makeup and we need to do the hair and yeah, all of those things would have been a better experience for you. So I'm sorry that didn't happen today. But you know what? My room is an absolute mess. My desk is a mess. And I have such creative flow going over the last few days that I didn't even get the end of November message out that I had intended to, simply because I was so focused on writing what you will eventually see, that I just stayed focused on me, and I figured ye would forgive me because I did. And then when you get to see why, then you say, oh my, thank you for holding back, because sometimes we need that sacred container. We need that sacred container in order to be the retainer that keeps our energy in so we can focus it like a laser on that which needs to be done. After, the laser can then become like a lamp and then shine on more. But until then, we really need that magnified experience. I say at 2222, which is the pattern. And that does lead us to album 23. That started with album 22. It's a music and art project designed for artists and musicians looking to actually be the authorities that create improved sound waves on the airwaves that we are collectively tuned into, with not just the internet that was spoke of first, but of the internet within us, which is the nervous system, and how we relay information, which is light codes, within the system of us. Systems being what are designed to save yourself significant time, energy, money system. But then you also, in addition to the internet and innernet, you have an intranet, which is actually where we are interconnected energetically in the field of consciousness, the Akashic records, the field of consciousness. That is actually where we have the opportunity to see all possibilities, and to also see how some probabilities come from those possibilities as more likely, whereas others become options that didn't get chose. And ultimately our life will be where we get to have either rose from the dust of our own ashes, from the identity we had before we separated from the entity we identified with, to then start a new identity with the self-image that we have a responsibility to now individually and collectively shift, which is what I would like to drift with you into this month now, December 1st, 2022. Welcome to you, and thank you for daring to clean up your life in the way that I am also being called to do as I put my things in order and am too. And as we do, we see that the contrast helps give clarity, and once the clarity is gained, we can put it into action and start moving toward it, for those are the most important 6 letters of the law of attraction. I wanted to finish this before 25 minutes, so I will simply say, Laura J, namaste, namago for today. Thank you.